Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're taking a really fascinating socio-anthropological journey right into the heart of every classroom on Earth. We're opening up our field guide to examine a highly recognizable, yet honestly deeply misunderstood group, the quiet kids. We're going to look at their distinct external traits and, much more importantly, their hidden internal motivations.
Okay, so here's our agenda. We're going to start by moving beyond the quiet stereotype, then compare the villain and the cool kids. After that, we'll check out the anime protagonist, trace the roots of the OG and the loud, examine the secret genius, and finally wrap it all up with embracing the silence. Let's get right into it.
Section 1, Beyond the Quiet Stereotype, Debunking the Myth.
So it's absolutely crucial we destroy a massive misconception right out of the gate. The quiet kid is absolutely not a monolith. While you might not hear from them very often, their silence actually hides this vast, incredibly complex ecosystem of diverse habits and motivations. To truly understand the social dynamics of any classroom, we really have to look past that generic quiet label and figure out exactly why they're so quiet. I mean, some are dealing with specific fears, while others, well, they honestly have no problems at all.
Moving on to Section 2, The Villain and the Cool, Contrasting Archetypes.
First up, we've got the supervillain. This is the quiet student whose mysterious vibe and intense focus make everyone else simultaneously curious and completely terrified that they might literally be plotting world domination. Unfortunately, this specific archetype is exactly why the quiet kid label gets such a bad rap. You know the exact type, right? You might not even know their name, but you nervously tell your friends to stay on their good side, just in case they're keeping a list somewhere.
But there is a massive disconnect between perception and reality here. Externally, sure, they might be drawing detailed skulls or intense battle scenes in their notebooks. And yeah, when the teacher calls on them, they deliver these perfect, robot-like deadpan answers without even blinking. It's kind of terrifying. But look at the internal motivation. They are mostly just deeply misunderstood. That intense focus, it's just an independent trait. They might literally just be an artistic genius, minding their own business, not some malicious threat.
Now let's totally flip the script and look at the exact opposite end of the spectrum, the comedy sniper. This is a remarkably cool, quiet individual who basically never speaks. But when they do, they consistently deliver the absolute funniest, most insightful comments at the exact perfect moment. It's like they observe everything in the room and then strike with absolute comedic precision. One shot and the whole class is on the floor laughing. Just picture this. You're stressing out over an impossibly difficult math test. The room is dead silent. And from the desk right behind you, you hear this perfectly timed low-stress whisper, "Hey, at least we can all fail together." That right there is the classic comedy sniper at work. Just a light, perfectly placed joke to totally break the tension. So, the crucial takeaway for the sniper is this. Externally, they ride solo, they never yell out in class, and they keep a very small, tight-knit group of friends. But internally, they aren't quiet because of severe anxiety. They simply have zero desire to be popular. In an era where social media pressures literally everyone to be a public spectacle, the comedy sniper completely rejects that. They are perfectly content just doing their own thing.
All right, Section 3, The Anime Protagonist, Pop Culture Influence. This archetype feels like it walks straight out of a streaming service original series. Externally, their whole vibe just screams, "Don't talk to me. My mind is way too deep for algebra." They sit in the back, gazing out the window. They use these really complex finger gesticulations, basically emulating the exact motions of characters from shows like Death Note, and they might even save up their fast food paychecks to buy a literal katana. But internally, they're deeply immersed in role-playing, seemingly just waiting for their tragic backstory to kick off. Or, let's be real, they might just be totally exhausted because they stayed up all night gaming. And you'll see this behavior bleed right into their sparse dialogue. They will nonchalantly drop Japanese slang into casual conversations with people who definitely do not watch anime. They'll look at some kid named James and deadpan, "Huh, you silly baka," fully expecting no one to find it weird. It's this fascinating kind of hilarious blend of fiction and reality. Section 4, The OG and the Loud, Roots and Mutations.
Okay, so first here we have the OG shy kid. This is the baseline, the root from which all other quiet archetypes evolve. Externally, if you say hi, they respond in barely audible whispers. If they drop a pen and you hand it back, they mumble thanks, as if the physical act of speaking actually hurts them. They aren't weird or mysterious. Internally, they're just highly nervous. They overthink social interactions and deeply fear harsh judgment from their peers. But hey, the good news is many actually naturally outgrow this as they hit adulthood and get a bit more comfortable in their own shoes.
But then we have the explosive mutation, the randomly loud, quiet kid. This is the student who is literally 99% silent, but occasionally yells out incredibly unhinged or nonsensical statements when literally nobody is expecting it. Just imagine sitting in the middle of a deeply serious, incredibly boring history lecture, and out of nowhere, this kid just abruptly shouts, "Pickles are overrated." And everyone just sits there thinking, wait, what just happened?
Believe it or not, this behavior actually forms a really vicious psychological loop. See, they hold in all this anxiety right alongside a genuine desire to socialize. But when they finally muster up the courage to speak, it almost always happens at the worst possible moment. They blurt out a completely nonsensical comment, receive a bunch of confused, negative stares from their peers, and immediately retreat into even deeper shyness. It's a tough cycle, born from a genuine but totally misplaced attempt to connect.
Moving on to Section 5, the secret genius, operating above.
Now this is an elite archetype that exists completely outside the normal classroom hierarchy. Their profile is just staggering. It's like a walking LinkedIn profile. They're over there casually solving complex NASA-level equations while the rest of the class is struggling with basic long division. They'll explain quantum physics to a bunch of 13-year-olds like it's absolute light work. They ace every puzzle, solve Rubik's Cubes effortlessly, and then casually destroy everyone at lunch table chess like it's just a quick warm-up for the spelling bee. And instead of bragging, they just sit back and sip their chocolate milk like a total mystery. The underlying motivation here is what's really fascinating. Externally, it's utter silence, broken only to casually correct the teacher's math mistakes. But internally, they are operating on a vastly higher intellectual plane. The motivation is just pure boredom. They aren't paralyzed by social anxiety. They simply have zero interest in standard peer drama. They are quite literally just quietly waiting for the rest of the world to catch up to their intellect.
Finally, Section 6, embracing the silence. Understanding peers. So, we've completed our field guide. We've navigated from the supervillains to the secret geniuses. And as you've seen, a quiet exterior almost always masks an incredibly rich, complex internal life. Whether they're protecting their peace, battling anxiety, immersing themselves in fantasy, or just totally bored out of their minds, there is always a why behind the silence. So, I want to leave you with this to reflect on. Which quiet kid were you? And more importantly, whose hidden motivations are you completely overlooking in your own circle today?